Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Tim, and welcome to Tim Talks, the show that's only partially a show, but really is just an excuse for me to have my very talented friends come on and talk to me for a bit. And speaking of talented friends, I have another one here with me today. He's the master manipulator behind YouTube Puppet Theater. Excuse me. He's known as Umby. How you doing, sir?
I'm good. I'm eating dinner as I record this interview. Is that okay?
That's absolutely fine. It's what, like 9:30, something like that for you? 9:45?
Yeah, it's quite ridiculous.
Yeah, well, you know, that's what happens when you do live stuff across the ocean.
I'm British.
Really? I couldn't tell. So, for those who don't know who you are, you do in fact do the YouTube Puppet Theater, well, now called YouTube Puppet Theater, but the ones that have come out so far have been Game Grumps Puppet Theater.
Yeah, almost, in fact, I would say almost exclusively Game Grumps, entirely exclusively Game Grumps. I can't talk. So
well, I mean, apparently your computer exploded while you were doing the one that would branch you out of that. So I mean, people who have to understand.
I made like a thanks for 5,000 subscribers, where I made the official announcement that I was going to branch out from outside Game Grumps, which is all my plan from the very start. And as I was working on the new episode that was supposed to come out Sunday past of this recording, I don't know when this particular video is coming out, but the Sunday past, it was supposed to be a Rooster Teeth episode. Based on the latest podcast, and as I'd storyboarded it, I'd recorded it, and I was in the middle of editing it, and my computer just went no, and so now I need to wait for Apple to come.
Any idea what's wrong with it?
Yeah, it's annoyingly it's a hardware issue that I sent it in for before over Christmas. Because I'm doing my studies at the same time as I'm doing all this stuff, so I dropped a heavy textbook that I was working on for my exam. I dropped that on my desk, and suddenly my computer just went, and I tried rebooting it, and it was like on the screen. It's like, oh, I've clearly knocked some of the graphics hardware inside loose. I've clearly like shaken that up a bit because it is all the fucked up.
The sad part is to fix the component that you're going to need is probably about as much as that textbook was that you dropped on it.
Well, first of all, I'm from the UK, where we do not charge...
Oh. You want to twist that knife a little harder? You want to talk a little bit more about how much better it is to be over there?
Secondly, I'm not a stupid person, and I make sure that I have my warranties on at all times, so it's going to cost me bugger all to make sure I get this thing fixed. So initially I was inconsolable because I thought my warranty had run out before Christmas. So I was like, oh no, my fucking desktop is broken and I can't make YouTube videos and I'm going to need to spend like at least £500 on making sure I get new video. And I called up Apple Care and they're like, oh no, your Apple Care warranty is still in effect. And I was like, I am crying of tears of joy because...
So you do then use an Apple to edit?
I got a desktop for basically all my stuff. I do have a Toshiba laptop. That was my first ever like personal laptop. That wasn't like a family computer. But that's about 6 years old at this point, so not very effective for editing.
And what software do you use?
On the Toshiba, I use Vegas, Sony Vegas, and on the Apple, I use Premiere Pro. I was on Final Cut, but then I found out that like a lot of people were switching to Premiere Pro after the switch from Final Cut 7 to Final Cut X.
Yeah. Well, I mean, here's the thing, and this is talking to a lot of people who used to exclusively use Final Cut as their editing software. Premiere apparently just does so much more that if you can get over that learning curve of kind of redoing all your shortcut keys and everything that you've learned, it's worth it.
It's not even a learning curve. Like, I don't want to be like sort of a braggy kind of person, but I studied television and broadcasting at university. I studied television and film production at college. I'm used to Avid, and anyone who's familiar with Avid will know that out of all of the non-linear editing softwares, it is the fucking most like sort of complex, sort of contrived, sort of just fucking
unnecessary,
like non-user-friendly, non-linear editing software you can find in the world. And I can use that with almost no problems. But that doesn't change the fact that I want a software, when I'm using it on a day-to-day basis, I want to find a software that's user-friendly. And Premiere just blows other softwares out of the water for its user-friendliness. It's just so simple to grasp.
The thing about it is, and there's so many good like video tutorials and stuff. I personally use the Lynda ones that come out, and they have great ones for After Effects. My roommate is studying drafting and design, and they have one for AutoCAD. I mean, crazy type stuff. But if you can just grasp the basics, all you have to do from there is play. You know, you go into the settings and figure out, oh, this is what, you know, the wrap effect does. This is what the texturize does. This is, you know, and
because like you start up Final Cut Pro, and you're like, okay, I can probably learn the basics of this in a few hours. You start up Avid, you're like, oh, I can probably learn the basics of this in a few months. You start up Premiere Pro, you're like, you can just go immediately. Like
if you have any sort of experience with taking a piece of raw footage, cutting out a small section, putting it in place, and then moving to the next piece.
Yeah.
That's the basics of video editing, you know? And
But
from
if you want to do anything more advanced than that, then other softwares like Final Cut and like Avid and even like Sony Vegas to an extent are a lot more sort of, you have to really search to find what you want, whereas Premiere's like, oh, this is what you want? Here it is.
Good. I mean, yeah, most of the dialogue boxes have some sort of search function in them. Failing that, you know, if you don't know exactly where it is, you can just search for it.
And a lot of other NLEs have that as well, but Premieres are just, I don't want to sound like I'm blowing smoke up Premiere's ass, but as someone who's used every editing software under the sun, Premiere is just the easiest to use on every scale. But I feel like this probably isn't something that a lot of people want to hear me talk about.
No, it's absolutely fine. People want to know the technical processes behind it, especially when it comes to why you choose the particular software that you do, because people can recommend a software all day, but unless you figure out this is exactly why this program is better than the other, that's what actually helps people make up their mind and choose it for their own personal use.
Okay, well, to any content creators out there that for some reason genuinely value my opinion, you want to go with Premiere Pro, but for the sole reason, as well as all the other reasons I've listed, but mainly for the reason that you'll want to get the Creative Suite, because with that you'll get Photoshop, you'll get After Effects, you'll get Bridge, you'll get all this great content, all these great programs that work with each other and are designed for each other, and they're great. Like
the things I've been able to do with After Effects are stunning. There was this one good learning experience for me. I was doing these videos. Tim Teaches Guild Wars 2. They're some of my favorites that I've done. They're very cinematic, very high production value, very high quality. And I was having trouble with this one transition that matched up with a trailer that I was using, where it kind of had this white paint wipe sort of transition from one scene to another, and it was gorgeous. And what I wanted to do was figure out some way to make that transition go to my next piece of footage. Yeah. And it took, I don't know, 10, 15 minutes of trial and error in After Effects to figure out how to to use the matting tool to link one image to the other, and it just worked perfectly. And then I had to go back and figure out exactly how the hell I did that. But because like in any sort of Adobe program, it's basically the same process. Like if you figure out how to do something in Premiere, you can use, common sense and logic to follow a very similar path in After Effects. Exactly. And then you can do something in After Effects in 5 minutes that you couldn't do in I think we have dropped the call.
But
no, we're back.
Okay. Oh, did I drop for a second?
Yeah, just for a second.
I have to explain. I currently, my current housing situation, because I'm a student and I live in student housing, my current student flat is a basement. Mm-hmm. So Wi-Fi signal isn't great where I live.
You gotta love it. Well, it's been pretty good so far. That's the only hiccup we've had, so
okay. Not a problem. Well, expect many more.
But yeah, so I didn't even realize that you were a fan of RT or kind of other. You don't think about people outside of the scope of what they do until you put out that thanks for 5K vlog, and you had the Achievement Hunter poster right behind you, and I was like, I guess that makes sense now.
Dude, I don't want to be like a sappy kind. Well, I know I do. I love being a sappy kind of person, but I don't want to be like sort of too like weird with it. But like Achievement Hunter and Rooster Teeth legitimately changed my life for the better, because before I got like into Rooster Teeth I got into it about October 2012, but like that was just sort of casual watching, and then round about like August, September 2013 I started to like watch everything they did, Like before that, I was only really watching the Let's Plays, and even then it was only the Minecraft and the GTA Let's Plays.
Yeah,
And then
the most popular one's the one that's ended up circulating everywhere because that's what Minecraft does.
yep. And then October 2013, I started watching everything else they did and really getting into the entire community and getting into like all the extra stuff that they did and their fans did. And I was like, I have to just fucking someday like go here, or you know, the dream is to work there. And that gave me an incredible amount of drive that I'd never like, because I'm a lazy fucking bugger. I am a lazy as dick.
Listen,
dude.
most creative people are. Most people are in particular, but creative people, there's always that fight inside of us between our brain saying, no, you have to make something. You have to do something or else I'm going to die. And then there's that innate human laziness that says, I can do it tomorrow.
But like because I got that drive, I was doing stuff that I like before I sort of really heavily got into it. I was making about 1 or 2 vlogs a year for about, you know, I'd upload about 4 vlogs in 2 years. And then after that started, and like after I really got into it, I was like suddenly I was working on videos, and not only that, like I don't want to brag, but I'm now the manager or the deputy station manager of both of my university's television stations, because I want to just have that kind of experience to go, look at all the stuff I've done. Hire me, Rooster Teeth.
Or anybody. I mean, that's the beautiful thing about this internet job that we do. Not only do you get to feed those creative aspects and things that you love to do, but it also acts as an incredibly advanced resume.
Yeah. Like, admittedly, this is totally out of left field. I don't even know if you know this, but I'm totally in love with stand-up comedy. So I'm doing stand-up comedy. So like, the YouTube thing would be awesome, and the Rooster Teeth thing would be awesome, but the stand-up comedy thing, that's fucking awesome.
Now,
so like,
that leads into a very interesting topic.
Yeah.
Let's preface this by saying that that's not, you've been doing stand-up comedy for quite a while, and that actually led to a very interesting tale that you put out a vlog about, what, 3 years ago now?
I think so.
Yeah. Tell us a little bit about that.
Do you want to regale me on the exact story? Because I'm not entirely familiar with which one you're talking about.
When you did stand-up comedy to tell everyone that you were gay.
Right, yes. So, this was an interesting thing, as I've been wanting to do stand-up comedy since as long as I can remember, because my first ever memory was like Vic Reeves and Bob Mortimer, which Americans probably won't know about, but English people will probably know about. Vic and Bob, I think it was then their mid-90s show was called The Smell of Reeves and Mortimer. And my first show was like my first memory is like sitting on my dad's back at like the age of 2 or 3 years old, past my bedtime, and like sitting on his back watching these 2 absolute madcap lunatics talking about whatever the dicks they were talking about, because they are just off the wall, batshit insane.
Yeah.
And that's like my first memory. So I was you know, basically shaped in the sense to become like a comedian. And there was an opportunity in about 2010, I think, there was an opportunity to finally do some stand-up comedy, which was a young ranters. There was a youth sort of culture event held in the town of Newcastle, which is where I'm from, in Newcastle, England, and that was called the Juice Festival. And one of the events there, put on by my youth theatre group, was the Young Ranters, where groups of teenagers would get together to put on a 2-minute rant of the subject of their choosing. Now, the majority of people chose to do like a sort of comedic or satirical rant, and I initially chose the same because I missed the meeting where all the youth theatre kids got together and were like, we want to do this and we want to do this Young Ranters thing, and they practiced their thing. Right. So I showed up a week later, where everyone's rehearsing the speech that they've written over the past week. And the woman who runs it is like, oh, Umby, people are doing, like, Young Ranters. People have, like, spent a week writing a 2-minute comedic script. If you want to go away for a week and write your comedic script and you can rehearse it at the next one. I was like, nah, fuck it. I'm going to go up there right now and do 2 minutes of improvised stand-up comedy.
We'll do it live.
Yeah, fuck it, we'll do it live. And I got up there, and that was my first legitimate taste of stand-up comedy, was doing 2 minutes improvised stand-up in front of a group of my peers, plus a woman who was actually a semi-professional stand-up comic. I didn't know this at the time, but the woman who ran my youth theater is a semi-professional stand-up comic, and she was pissing herself laughing. Not to toot my own horn, but I made her piss herself. Not literally. Well, maybe
listen.
literally.
That's always an excellent feeling. It's good to get that kind of outside validation, regardless of how confident you are in yourself.
Yeah, exactly. But about a week later, bringing the mood down a bit, if anyone remembers this, it was the weekend that the news sort of circulated on the internet of that kid, Asher Brown, from the United States. Asher Brown was I think, like a 13 or 14-year-old kid who was gay, and he committed suicide because he was gay and because of the prejudice he was facing. And I was like, look, I'm going to go up on stage in front of a room of about 200 people. I can't go up there and do like a fucking routine about people's prejudice against hair dye when I could go up there and spread a legitimate message about like sort of gay rights and gay teens and stuff like that.
Something worthwhile.
I can't use this platform to not talk about something that's important. And so I went up there, and instead of doing a comedic routine, I did a 2-minute routine about gay rights, about Asher Brown, about similes, about stopping people from talking about shit, about talking about gay stereotypes in the street. That's all up on YouTube. I can probably give you the link, Tim, if you want to put this in the link of the description. Like,
oh, don't worry. It's been playing underneath you for a bit.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, well done. But yeah, that I put up that video, and at some point, as I was writing, I was like, you know, like, I can really easily slip in just the fact that I'm gay, or so I thought. I can really, like, this is a perfect way to slip this in, and, like, just slip it in so casually that no one would even know, apart from obviously my parents, who are going to be in the audience, and they're going to hear it. And so the day comes, and I'm like the second last person up on stage, which is like terrifying because I'm sitting in the audience like as all the other kids go up and do their routines, and I'm like,
not last, second to last.
Second last. That's how specifically I remember it. And I go up there, and the line is something like, and this is why you'll want to play it, Tim. The line was like, you don't even have to be gay to sort of tell someone off for their sort of gay judgmental stereotypes. I mean, I am, but that's besides the point. And, like, you'll notice when you watch that video how, like, the video that's recording me is my mum holding the camera, and I look everywhere in the room except for the table that she and my dad are sitting at. Because, like, no fucking way can I look over at my parents. Yeah. But, like, credit to my mum, if you see the video, you'll see that, like, I go, oh, I'm gay. And, like, the video doesn't shake. She doesn't drop it in amazement. She doesn't go, she's just like, I must keep recording this for posterity. Apparently, my dad turned to her at one point and was just like, did you know? And she's like, I didn't know, but I got to keep recording.
Yeah. So I mean, good honor for absolutely keeping professionalism there in face of a very big revelation, apparently. I mean, it's funny, you know, parents often see what they want to see, and that can lead to those kind of situations where they just don't ever think about big issues to their children, you know, how their children are developing and becoming actual legitimate human beings and people with opinions and ideas and wants and needs and feelings.
Yeah.
And just sort of assume that they're kids.
Yeah.
And it's kind of neat to have that moment on video, even if it is with them behind the camera.
It is weird to think that I have my coming out story, like my coming out moment on video, and weird to think that I had it in a room of 200 people, even if it wasn't, like, as it turns out, the correct coming out. Because as it turns out, spoiler alert, not actually gay.
And that's the second half of the story, and where I wanted to bring this conversation. What do you think about the idea that people who often have some sort of platform to talk about their feelings often tend to be a little bit better adjusted in them?
I don't quite understand the question.
The fact that you were able to talk about that you felt that you were gay, at least at the time, and we'll get to how you feel now in just a moment, on stage in front of people where it was out in the open, instead of having to deal with it individually inside of your own brain. I feel like, as someone who deals with depression and anxiety and things like that, and I'm able to talk about it freely, those things help me deal with my problems.
Yeah.
Do you feel the same?
Absolutely. I mean, if we're talking about sort of like, I guess sort of I almost want to say it like an anonymous face, because other than my parents, you know, I wouldn't be able to sort of pick out anyone from the 200 people in that audience, like, off the street. Like, I wouldn't pass someone on the street and goes, oh, that person was there in the audience the time I came out as gay. That person knows that I'm gay. So
yeah,
it's sort of comforting to have this almost anonymous body of people and be like, is me, and this is something I've been wanting to get off my chest. And essentially, because there's so many of you, you can't all remember me. You can't all, I guess, matter. That's a weird way of putting it. But like, yeah, I definitely feel like having that kind of sort of platform is a good help. Like my friend, my friend that I talk to a lot is like heavily dyslexic and has anxiety issues and has ME and all this kind of stuff. And it might be awkward for her to talk about that kind of stuff face to face with a person, but she can post about it you can post about it all the time on Twitter and get it all off her chest on Twitter or on Tumblr or all this kind of stuff, because it's like if someone doesn't like that on this platform, it doesn't really matter because they're not someone who can really affect you. They're just an anonymous face in a crowd. Whereas, you know, in person, if someone were to sort of reject it, it would be a lot more painful. So having this kind of platform is a lot more sort of safe, I want to say.
Yeah. Because when you do it in this manner, it's not really for them.
It's for you.
Exactly. Exactly. And as often is like stand-up comedians, you see some of the best people like Christopher Titus, people like George Carlin, your Richard Pryor. They took the pain that they had and put it out there. And
can I say something?
Yeah, absolutely.
Real quick, because I'm someone who loves his stand-up comedy and I'm someone who loves his philosophy. And this is, I want to say it's almost a controversial opinion, but I don't know, because if you say, oh, I have a controversial opinion, it's like, well, you're a bit of a wanker. But genuinely, I think George Carlin is one of the greatest sort of thinkers that we've ever had. Not just in the entertainment industry, but in general, he was one of the greatest thinkers we've ever had. Not a fucking comedian. He's a dude who said things, and occasionally those things were phrased in the way that could be conceived as funny, but he didn't tell jokes. He told funny sort of philosophies.
Yes. For the most part, you are correct. And oftentimes when faced with those kind of great truths, you're either forced to laugh or cry. Yeah. And people often choose to laugh because you're in a club and
don't get me wrong,
presented as stand-up comedy. But I mean, you're not wrong.
Don't get me wrong. George, and I'm saying this as a Christian, George Carlin is one of the greatest fucking thinkers I've ever seen in my entire life. Not a fucking comedian. Just throwing that out there.
But getting back to the tie, yeah, having that sort of ability to talk about these things and get them...
Oh, no. My phone fell over.
Nice. So, yeah.
There we go.
That's the other half of this. We're not... Because your desktop is broken, we're having to kind of improvise a little bit, and this is being recorded on your iPhone.
Hey, absolutely. For another Apple brand, show the fact that I'm a true fucking Apple fanboy, why don't you?
So the second half of that story, the video that comes out, you look slightly different.
I do.
That's kind of the first thing that you notice.
Yeah.
And then it starts off with a rather unusual interaction at a bar. Is that based on a kind of a true-ish?
No. It's based on the fact that in the time between between the first coming out story and the second coming out story, I became a huge fan of JonTron. Mm-hmm. And JonTron's videos, like all his best videos, would start off with like, not like a sketch, but almost like an interaction with just like sort of an interaction that would almost be conceived like as a sketch. It's just not quite the same format.
Right.
And I don't want to rip off JonTron, but I want to take a lot of inspiration from him because his videos are just so like top caliber that
I mean, that's part of the creative process. It's finding all the inspirations and things that you hold dear and finding some way to mesh them all together. And before you know it, you got your own style that's unique and individual.
Yeah. And so that's what I was aiming for with the first part of my coming out story too, was like the two main YouTubers that I take inspiration from are JonTron and Tomska, who is responsible for the ADSF movies and a lot of like live sketches.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Not ADSF, ASDF. ASDF, yes. Yeah. ASDF movies.
I think I've seen him pop up a couple of times on my recommended things.
Like, I love Tomska and I love JonTron, and those two sort of combined. I think between the two of them combined, you can sort of see how the first, like, the sketchy part of that video came about. Mm-hmm. And then it goes into a vlog. Yeah.
And so that video reveals that as people grow and mature,
yep,
you realize that the initial feelings that you have as a young man may not necessarily be what you grow into as an adult.
Yeah, because when I made the first video, I was like, oh, you can either be gay, straight, or bi.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, it's one of those three. And I feel way more strongly towards dudes, and I don't really feel that strongly at all towards women. And so I guess I'm just gay. And so I was like that. And then in the space between that and the second video, I sort of realized that sexuality and gender are a spectrum. And as soon as I realized that, I was like, oh, then I'm not gay, and I'm not bi, but I'm somewhere on the spectrum. And I guess I should make a video about how labels are sort of, if you want to have a label, great. And if you like know what that label is that you want to have, great, go for it. If you don't like want a label, also great. Don't let anybody tell you that you need one. Fuck those people. You can be whatever you want to be.
One of my favorite videos on this topic comes out of the Vlogbrothers. I don't know if you've seen them.
The Vlogbrothers actually got me into YouTube way back in 2008.
There was one on gender identity and the mutability of human sexuality. I'll put a link down below. But they talked about like how you have your sex, which is the actual thing between your legs.
This was this was Hank's video, was it?
Yep.
Yeah.
And then gender, which is how you feel, what you identify with, and then romantic orientation, the people you feel feelings for and want to settle down with, and then sexual orientation, the people that you just want to bone.
Yeah.
And then you also have your gender behavior, the things that you actually carry out. You can feel things and not do them all day.
Or like gender expression, like what you would like sort of, because my gender expression is all over the place, even though I identify as I guess a male, but my gender identity and like expression is like all over the fucking gaff.
The gender roles that you want to do. I mean, I feel much more at home in the kitchen than I would building you a house. You know, I could absolutely do both, but I promise you I'll be able to make a much better meal. Pretty sure. But that being said, I am not unfamiliar with hard work. I love getting my hands dirty. I love going outside and doing yard work and gardening. And, you know, I mean, it is mutable. It is all over the place, and it's beautiful.
Yeah.
The minute that you can take those couple of shiny boxes that we have right now and put them into 7 million shiny boxes, that's pretty damn beautiful. Yeah. Thank you, Hank, for that. Just, God, I love that statement.
You can try and put, because just to summarize, for those who haven't seen the video and those who for some reason can't be asked to watch the video, basically, society tries to put everyone into, 4 or 5 boxes, when in actual fact, everyone is their own box. That's just the way it is.
And it's okay. Like, that's the important part of that. It's
a lot of
okay.
Those might be fucking similar, but they are different boxes all the same.
So now getting to the thing that everyone has been waiting for. Let's talk a little bit about the actual making of the game Grumps Puppet Theater.
Because... Can I quickly just ask something?
By all means.
How many people... Because you were like, oh, I want to get this recorded and put out and promote this and stuff. Like, do people care about my shit? Is that a thing that happens?
As it turns out, people not only care about the things that you make, but sometimes they do want to know more about the person behind them. Because at least I do. And that's all that matters. Because as we talked about earlier, this is just for us. It's not really for anybody else out there. But there are people who do enjoy, legitimately, viewing the mind behind the creation.
Well, and I wish the mind behind the creation wasn't drunk as shit right now, because that Because for those that don't know, I just finished my last exam of the second year of university today, so I have been drinking for about 7 hours straight.
Oh, well done. Well done on you, though. I mean, you finished the exams. How well did you do?
Oh, I fucking nailed it.
Awesome.
Do all your revision in the last 48-hour, kids. That's the way to forward.
You said you are studying film and things of that nature.
TV and broadcasting. It's a very specific part of the course.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's like there's television and film production, which is like making films and making TV shows. TV and broadcasting is like specifically on the live aspect of it. So stuff like The X Factor, Britain's Got Talent, all these live shows that go out. We study the technology behind going live. Our course has its own satellite up in space to broadcast live. It's all very cool.
Right. As opposed to something static that's recorded before and then edited and yada yada.
I mean, we do all that anyway, so we can cover the basics.
Yes.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I guess I never really considered that those would be two, like, entirely different skill sets.
I guess so, because like if you wanna like follow in the path of like Scorsese or Tarantino, you'll probably want to go with the television and film production course and learn like they probably study more on like the aspects of filmmaking and like themes and forms and stuff like that. Whereas we're like, this is how you technologically and how like you will create this using the technology, but we won't tell you like stuff about like studying films and stuff like that.
Right.
That's shit you can go and research on your own. But this is how you make stuff go to the television as you're recording it. And this is
And
the
so
that you use. So
that was something I wanted to ask you about. There are a lot of really neat and very studied film techniques that you use in the puppet theater that makes the paper and pencil drawings very expressive. Is that because you're a student, or is it because you're a student of movies?
honestly, I think the majority of the fact that makes puppet theater pop is actually more to do with my um, sort of comedic sort of what's the word
Timings and such?
like sort of experience and know-how in times because like I'm a big fan of studying like the patterns of comedians, and so to that extent I have sort of developed my own style of comedy, and that's what makes it come forward. Is not how I film it or how I record it, but well it is, but the way that I film it and I record it is structured around the fact of how I know I want it to be timed and structured
Right.
comedically.
Specifically, like in the Palpatine video, when Palpatine comes up from behind the sofa to do his noise.
Still
I
my
mean,
favorite fucking part of any video I've ever done.
listen, I watched them all a couple of times again, just kind of getting ready for this. I mean, I was nearly in tears. Though, it's amazing how you can take the audio from an all audio show, and it's all in the imagination. It's all in the brain of the viewer to fill in the blanks. I mean, you have the puppets, and the puppets themselves are very expressive and well drawn, and they tell a great story. But it's combining the image in your head with this new image that you're putting out that makes Game Grumps animated in general, Achievement Hunter animated, any of those shows like that, just that much better. You're taking the juxtaposition of what you thought was happening with this new comedic outlook on what's actually happening.
Yeah.
And I think that's very interesting. And it takes a certain kind of comedic mindset. It takes a certain kind of very analytical mindset to realize this is what you need to do to match all these particular points.
I mean, the thing is, because like I said, I've been in love with comedy for genuinely as long as I can remember. From my first memory, I've been in love with comedy. At this point, it's not even a conscious sort of analytical thing. It's like I just immediately know what I need to do to make something funny. And I don't want this to sound like I'm tooting my own horn. I don't want to sound like I'm,
Right.
ego boosting my own self as I'm a master of comedy. It's just genuinely, it's like, if you draw for 10,000 hours, you're going to just immediately know, your hand is going to subconsciously know what
Right.
movements you need to make in order to make something look good. In the same way, because I've been, studying comedy for at least 10,000 hours over the course of the past 20 years, I'm going to just know the best course of action, or at least one of the best course of actions to take to make something as funny as possible.
You at least have some sort of spark of an idea that gets all the hamsters running in the right direction, and
Yeah.
suddenly you're on it.
Yeah, just like the way that I sort of make the videos is I'll take the audio track and I'll edit it to like the length, like just because a lot of the times I'll have to edit the audio because sometimes the videos will go on for like 5 minutes and I'm like, this is too long.
Right.
I can't draw 5 minutes worth of puppets. um,
So you get just the juicy bits.
so I just get the best bits, and I edit that and usually to about 1:45 to 2.5 minutes. And then I'll just sit and listen to it on loop and just like with my eyes closed and just be like, okay, what would be funny to say at this line or this line, or what would be funny to happen at this line or this line, and that's usually how it comes about. Like for the Palpatine video, where he pops up behind the sofa, I'm like, it would have been, it would just be funny to just have like Palpatine instead of just because initially he was just going to come in from on top of the screen. It was going to be Aaron and Danny puppet talking, and then Palpatine coming from the top of the screen. It was like, it'd be funny if he came in from behind the sofa. It's just something that happens. You just like the designing of the show takes about 3 days because I'll come up with the initial idea on day one, and then for the next 2 days I'll just be like going about my usual business and just thinking about, well, how can I make it better?
Right. there is a lot of mental editing and preparation that has to go into sitting down and actually making something. The sitting down and making something should be the easiest part.
God,
By the time you actually get to it, you've already got it mapped out in your head, especially, you know, something small-ish that you're doing in your own home. You should be able to have control of most of the variables, at least.
Definitely.
So as opposed to doing like a large production where anything can go wrong at any time. But when you're doing stuff like that, you kind of have to take the time and mental preparation to be like, okay, whoa, you got brighter.
Better or worse?
I'll say this. Your skin tone does look a lot more natural, but there's a lot more brightness. So just take it down and we'll leave it as is. Awesome. Continue. Getting back. Yes. So when you're doing something small like that.
How very unprofessional of me. I'm very sorry.
No, it just caught me completely off guard. I'm used to, I have a light right here behind the camera that reflects onto my face. So I'm used to one bright light, and then all of a sudden the screen just hit me too. Deer to headlights moment.
Wow, I derailed you completely.
Yeah, I've never Walt Disney'd this bad.
Barry, cut all this.
Oh, yes, I remember now. So when you're doing stuff like that and you have control of everything, but all the preparation and all the mental work that goes into it is so that the actual shooting time and the turnaround time is very short. And once you actually get down to doing the physical work, it's all mostly mentally done.
Yeah. I mean that's the thing is like the process is other than the free, like there's like the 2 to 3 days of like mental planning. Mm-hmm. And it's like just if I took no breaks, like no breaks at all, it would probably be about 5 to 7 to 8 hours, depending on the length of the video and the number of puppets I needed, of just drawing and cutting and drawing and cutting and drawing and cutting, which let me tell you is a great way to get carpal tunnel.
I'll bet.
And it's just, it's fucking hard, dude, to just draw that many puppets and not end up hating the creators because, like, you're drawing the face and go, I fucking hate your stupid face. Why do you have such hair with all the jaunty angles I have to cut around, you fucking bastard? But, like...
Yeah, I mean, those kinky curls of Danny are probably very annoying.
Dude, I love Danny, but fuck his hair.
Come on, you know if you had the chance to run your fingers through it, you would.
Oh, dude, I would cuddle Danny so hard.
Exactly. You and any other sane human being on the planet.
I would cuddle Danny so hard, but I fuck drawing them. But like, yeah, but then I do all that, and like the shooting takes about half an hour to an hour, depending on, again, the length of the video, and then the editing takes about 2 to 4 hours. So if I took no breaks whatsoever, an entire video could get done in 12 hours.
Which may be what you end up having to do the second you get that desktop back up and you're able to make something else.
Yeah, I mean, what's so annoying is I had the entire next episode shot, and it's all on my camera and it's all on my memory card. I was just ingesting it into Premiere, and that's when I decided.
And there's literally fuck all you can do with it.
Yeah, so
you gotta love when that shit happens. I mean, you really do.
So as soon as I get my desktop up and running, it'll only take about 2 hours to get the video online. But
nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Well, I think that about covers everything that I've got here. So I think we've come to the part of the show now where I've always enjoyed the method of the Inside the Actor Studios method of ending with a series of questions. And so I too have a reappropriated version of the Proust questionnaire, and it goes a little something like this. Umby, what's your favorite word?
Oh, you know what's funny? Like, my favorite word changes all the time. But I've realized that a lot of my favorite words seem to be words for confrontation, like kerfuffle and scuffle and quarrel and a skirmish and all these kind of words that sort of mean a sort of conflict. And I can't help it. I guess it might be reflective of my character, but these words are just a lot of fun.
Well, there's something to be said for using alternate words other than the ones that are used all the time.
Yeah. Well,
so I think that...
A lot of people like listen to me talk and go, well, he's very stuck up because listen to his vernacular. He uses the word vernacular. And I go, this is just how I talk.
You're just very well read. That's not...
No, not even that. I read bugger all. I just like words.
So what's your least favorite word then?
I don't know, probably something derogatory.
Fair enough. What sound or noise do you love?
Danny singing. Danny's harmonies.
What sound or noise do you hate?
Ninja Brian stabbing me. It's almost silent, but you can just hear like the silent sort of clench of a dagger into my spleen.
It's like a million screams heard all at once and then suddenly silence.
Exactly.
What hero or heroine do you identify with the most?
Deadpool.
And what villain?
Deadpool.
I'll take it. What would be your superpower?
Deadpool.
What would be
No,
your super...
okay, no, my superpower would probably be to transform into any animal.
And what would be your super weakness?
I die as soon as I get laminated.
Okay.
Because it'll never happen, and then I'll be invincible.
Fair point. No, yeah. Very, very fair point. What turns you on? What gets your gears going?
Oh, gee, what? Wait, well, hang on. Get my gears going is like a creative process.
Yes.
What do you mean by turns me on?
Creatively, emotionally, what makes you start thinking? What gets sparks flying in your brain?
I want to say YouTube. I'm sort of like, oh, YouTube music. I love music videos, and I love coming up with music videos in my brain. And so listening to songs, it's a very lesser known fact of me. So lesser known, in fact, I've never told anyone. But like one of my sort of, I guess, like main goals with puppet theater is to someday have Ninja Sex Party come to me and be like, hey, do you want to make a puppet music video for us? And I'd be like, fuck yeah!
That would be hilarious. Or maybe even just like a smaller video, a musical sting kind of thing.
Basically, I just want to, like, because Ninja Sex Party right now are my absolute favorite band, and not even just because I'm such a fan of Grumps. If I'd found them individually, like separately, and I didn't even know anything about Grumps, I'd be like, this band's fucking awesome.
Well, yeah, I mean, there's nothing wrong with 80s metal and keyboardists mixed over very, very absurdist lyrics.
But yeah, either Ninja Sex Party or guess Starbomb as well, because Starbomb is also great. If I could make a music video for them in the style of Grumps puppet theater, or in the style of YouTube puppet theater, I'd be like, that's it. I can just lay me down to sleep right now, because I'm stick a fork in me. I'm done.
Picturing projects that are coming in the future, is kind of something that gets my blood pumping.
Picturing where I want to end up is something else. Like I said, that the drive that RT have given me.
What turns you off then?
Well, I tell you what, you can ruin my day in a heartbeat, or I can ruin my day in a heartbeat by stepping on a snail. That is one way to bum me the fuck out. I actually stepped on a snail earlier today, and I've had a pretty fucking good day, but that bummed me the fuck out for about a good hour. Was when I stepped.
Is it just because of the waste of life?
Yeah, I'm so like empathetic towards creatures. My house is actually bit gross. My house is actually currently like, I don't want to say infested or overrun, but there are a lot of fucking spiders and ants in our house right now, and I refuse to kill any of them.
Oh.
Yeah. Which is a bit bad because my one roommate is arachnophobic, and she's like, kill a spider for me, and I'm like, nope.
No, I won't do it. You're just gonna have to suffer.
Yeah, deal with it.
What other talent, other than the ones you've obviously been gifted with, would you like to have?
Well, I'd love to be able to rap, honestly. I used to drum for about 2 years, and I just couldn't afford the lessons anymore. I'd love to take that back up again. I'd love to drum. I really like drumming. So drumming, rapping. I'd love. I'd love to. I don't have this talent, but I'd love to sing. Unfortunately, I am totally tone deaf. But yeah,
I think that's often the way. People who are very talented with their hands, or drawing, or crafting, or something, are often not very musically inclined, or it's rare that you'll find someone who can do all of the arts and all of the sciences and all of everything.
Yeah, let's clear something up, like, before this interview wraps, is I am not a good artist. Not even remotely. I can draw the style I do the Grumps. I can do the style I draw. YouTube puppet theater, that's the style I can draw in, and that's, like, shaky at best. You ask me to study, or you ask me to paint, you ask me to even do any kind of digital art, I'm like, can't be done. I'm terrible. The style you see in the videos is the only style I can vaguely do, and that's because it's the one I invented. So,
well, I'm not
really good with my hands creatively.
Then in that case, the expressiveness that you can get with very minor artistic skills is fantastic.
Thank you very much, Tim. I appreciate that.
What advice would you like to give to your 13-year-old self?
So how old was I? Fucking hell! How old was I when I was 13? I fucking wonder. What year was I in when I was 13? Year 9. I want to be like, look, kid, just. You've gone through shit, and right now you're coming out of the shit. From now on, things are going to be, I don't want to say smooth sailing, but they're pretty good, and they're only going to get better. Just make sure that you deal with like life by not being a judgmental asshole, and by just treating everyone else with kindness, and just don't be a lazy prick. Keep working at all the shit you want to do. You know, keep working at all the things that you're good at. Don't give things up. Don't give up on yourself. Don't give up on other people. Just keep working and working because life is amazing. You just haven't realized it yet.
I think that's pretty damn good. So what's your favorite curse word?
Fuck. It's so diversive.
I would have to agree for exactly the same reason. It's my favorite word, period.
But getting into specifics, fuckity is pretty good.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
And where would you one day like to live?
Oh, Jesus. I went to Vancouver in 2010 and I fell in love with the place. Mm-hmm. Like, Vancouver. Like, that's why I want to retire and probably die. But I don't want to, like... There's no real one place I don't want to live for the majority of my life. I want to live... The world is so big and it's almost unfair. I'm not going to get to explore all of it in my incredibly short lifespan. So I'm not going to stay in one place for too long. But... yeah, wherever I want to go to a lot of places. I want to go to Austin. I want to go to California. I want to go to Vancouver. I want to go to all the places of Japan and everywhere. I want to go to everywhere. I want to see everything, Tim.
I understand completely. I don't blame you one bit. You're the first person whose answer very closely matches my own.
Yeah.
And I will say this. You do have the chance to come to Austin because that's A, where I am, and B, RTX is just around the corner, baby.
Unfortunately, I can't afford RTX this year, and I'm probably not going to be able to afford it to next year because that's when I'll finish. Well, I mean, I don't know. I might be able to afford to go to Austin because next year I finish my university studies, and I'll want to take a gap year. And my gap year will most definitely involve traveling around America and Canada. So I will definitely come visit you in Austin, but whether I will have the funds left over to afford the ticket to RTX... That's amazing.
Especially after they go up slightly. But I mean, there are ways around that. Don't worry. The future holds many things.
No worries, Tim. It definitely at some point within the next 2 years, when I'm on my road trip of the world, I will definitely come visit you in Austin. And who knows, we might make a video together.
Top.
It might be awesome.
Top. So, final question here.
Yeah. If
you have a choice, how long would it take you to respawn after you died?
Are we talking about in my life where I will die normally, of whatever I die of in this life?
Yeah.
And I can only respawn once?
For the sake of this argument, sure. 700
years. Because I think 700 years is probably a good amount of time between when we are alive now and when it will be so different from where we are now. It will be almost like an entirely different world. I reckon in 700 years we'll have the kind of technology that makes us think, right now, if someone did that, they'd be like, that's a superpower.
Right.
Like the ability to just sort of float instead of sit or lie anywhere. That'll easily be a thing that exists in 700 years. And hopefully equal rights for all will also be a thing in 700 years. Here's hoping.
I mean, with the way it takes to get things passed around the world, yeah, I know. I imagine it'd probably take about that long.
So yeah, when I die, hopefully at the age of 110, I'll die and then I'll respawn in the year 2704.
Yeah.
Sure, why not? Let's go with that.
I like that. That's about
2804. 2804 will be 700 years after I die. So 2804, hopefully I'll respawn in the year 2804, and by that time I'll be able to live to the year 3000, and I can see if McFly were talking out of their asses.
There you go.
Yeah.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, that brings us to the end of our show. I want to thank my guest, Umby, for coming on. What's your Twitter handle?
It's at Umbrellaboy.
And it's been underneath him this entire time.
And also,
is there anything else you'd like to plug?
Link my Tumblr.
Absolutely. No, everything will be linked down below. You can find his YouTube channel there as well. I want to thank him so much for coming on. My name is Tim Leftwich. You've been watching this on youtube.com/Tim Leftwich. You can find the audio version of this show, as well as all of the other ones that I've done, on soundcloud.com/Tim Leftwich.
Before we depart, Tim, can I say one final thing?
Of course.
Considering that this is like your show is someone who's interviewed people such as like Griffin Ramsey and people like the guy behind Hot Pepper Gaming, and like people like that. Can I say I am fucking honored as shit that you would come to me and be like, "Can you be on my show?" And I'm like, "What? But your show's for people who matter. What are you talking about?" So really, thanks for like making my ego like big and.
You're very, very welcome. You're very, very welcome. I'm glad that you were able to accept and we were able to kind of squeeze this in very quickly. It takes a lot of pressure off putting stuff out on a regular basis, I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
And it was a damn good show, I think.
I really think so. I love talking about myself. What can I say? I'm a full-on narcissist because that's something to remember, kids. The universe and society will try and tell you otherwise, but there is absolutely nothing wrong with just a little bit of narcissism. Gotta love yourself before you can love others.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for watching, and as always, we'll see you next time.
Bye. Oh, you know what we didn't talk about at all during the interview?
Huh.
The fact that I'm a writer for RT Community Shorts UK.
Oh, no, I didn't even think about that.
Oh, I kind of want to give them a plug, but never mind.
No worries.
Oh.
Don't worry, it'll get in there.